Welcome to the College of Wealth podcast, the ultimate financial guide to help you understand your financial stresses and how you can build from it. Your lessons won't be in class, and your projects can either save you or earn you money. We host episodes 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you reach your financial freedom. Now let's get started with your hosts, Owen, Paradis, and William Goulet.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet. We're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast.
Podcast.
Yes, this is the College of Wealth podcast. This is a financial podcast that teaches you the latest and greatest information about money, because at the end of the day, this is a crazy money-making world.
Yes, I agree and endorse both parts of those messages.
Well, I'm glad you do. And because it's a financial podcast, since we like to go and call this a financial podcast, we like to go and say that this podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
Okay, we do say for entertainment purposes, and I like that we say that because I'm proud. I'm proud of what we do day in, day out too, as well, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that it might even negate the information part. So when we say our spiel and we say our intro, if we start including the information part, I think we might be able to sell it as an extra value add, to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
So maybe we could name it something like, I don't know, information-tainment or infotainment, maybe.
That was almost as bad as when you decide to go and call it tainment info.
Yeah. Yeah,
almost. It wasn't as quite. That wasn't as bad.
The tainment info one, I really regret, and I think it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Oh my goodness, man.
But I do agree with your statement on calling this infotainment. That's what we like to call it here at the College of Wealth podcast. And because in reality, both Will nor myself, we are not financial advisors.
Certainly not me anyways, Owen.
Well, I'm not either. I'm not, that's for sure. But we studied in business. We got our bachelor's degree in business. And we both work in the business industry. I work finances, Will works marketing. We do everything.
That is to say that our interest in this topic that we cover in our podcast is valid. And not just in any way. In the Gen Z way.
Yes, I could not agree more with this here. And we also like to go and say 2 other things in regards to our interest towards this.
We love to make money! And in some cases, though, there's another reason why we do it. Can you name it?
I think we like to save money, too.
We do like to save money. It depends. It depends on the episode type,
It is. It's true. And today is actually going to be an interesting one. But before we talk about today's episode, because Will doesn't know it, obviously.
I still don't. Nope. Until like 5 minutes in.
But if you haven't done so, give us a 5-star review on Apple or on Spotify. It'd be really... be grateful. We'd be forever grateful, honestly. It helps us with the algorithm. It would be
grateful as well.
It would be grateful. And it would help us with the algorithm. If you haven't done so, if you like to watch visuals or anything like that, watch our faces, go and check us out on YouTube at College of Wealth Podcast, or check us out on Instagram at College of Wealth Podcast as well. We all have good content every platform that we have.
Honestly. And I think YouTube has become my own little favorite. So, you know what it is? It's leave a like, subscribe, and if you favorite it, chef's kiss.
We've started including YouTube Shorts. We have Shorts as well on TikTok as well.
That's right.
Fun fact. We have TikTok and YouTube.
And it's another value add too for the Shorts and the TikTok. I like Owen's been taking care of that, and he's been doing nice little edits to it and adding different pop culture references. It's really nice, entertaining.
Good. I'm very happy about that, and I'm proud of the work that I do. So it's nothing less than my. I don't do the bare minimum on them. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, those are fantastic. So check those out, man.
For sure. Without further ado, though, we got to go and hop into episode 120.
That's really good,
120.
man. Yeah.
I'm very happy about this here. And it's a real estate episode.
Oh, right on. Okay. What are we talking about?
So this one right here, we spoke about many episodes ago on how to purchase a home.
Yes, we sure did.
Now, this one is about how to buy property during a recession.
Oh, yes.
And that is a whole other ball game. And this is very relevant to what's going on right now, because now people are wondering if they're just catching a falling knife.
Well, are we finally admitting that we're in a recession now, or are we still pushing that till, I don't know, after the election maybe?
But one thing I got to go and add to this, I have it at a little star, and I guess I could just start off right off the hop with this, just for everyone here.
Yeah.
One thing I saw many times while doing my research, the stock market is not correlated. It is not typically correlated with the housing market.
Okay, yeah, true.
Not
true.
typically.
Okay.
But when you have big booms like that, you're going to get busts. So the housing market, they pointed out Canada, they brought New Zealand as well.
Okay.
New Zealand and Canada are some of the worst in terms of how high their markets have gone up in the last year. Mm-hmm. But they will do their own thing. So the stock market right now is down, obviously, 10%. Yeah. But overall, sometimes in some markets even worse. But you may, the housing market in Canada, they say it could be up to 25, 30% or more.
Down?
Down, yeah.
Okay, because you're saying it could be up to. I'm like, up to, down of.
No, but in reality, in a span of 2 years, if you go down 20, let's say 25, 30%, that means the market would have gone up a total of 10%, 15% over 2 years. And that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, that's more logical, usually.
Yeah, in a span of 4 or 5 years, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, housing market doesn't typically correlate to the stock market. All I'm saying that. So the way we have this broken down is 4 different points. First off, obviously, is our stats.
Of course.
The first thing, consider. Actually, I'm just going to talk about these points after, so people will know.
Yeah.
But one of the points I was going to say, I'll just say them. So the first thing you got to do is consider your plans and your cash flow. We're going to break that down, like how to plan and your cash flow. The second thing is paying attention to details. We're going to break that down, exactly what paying attention to details means and doing your research. The third thing is going to be the good and bad times to buy in this type of market. And we're not talking about specifically like, buy at a high or buy low or specific. Timing. We're not talking about timing. We're talking about for yourself and your environment.
Okay, within your own lifetime.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Relative to you, not relative to the market.
A little bit of both, but not necessarily like the best time. Oh, well, buy during the spring or anything, or buy not something like that. Just with what's going on around you in your market.
Yeah. Okay.
And the fourth thing are tips to increase your chances of getting a good deal.
That's key because a lot of your money's made when you purchase.
Yes.
So very key.
So our first stat, we got to go and jump into this. By the way, all these stats I got from the National Association of Realtors.
Okay.
I thought it was very interesting.
National is in U.S. or Canadian?
U.S.
Okay, gotcha.
This is U.S., but it was 2021, so my guess is it was a report for 2020.
Okay.
Like the 2021 report was for 2020.
The year 2020, yeah.
Yeah, covering the year of 2020. Because the information I'm going to provide to you, you'll kind of understand afterwards.
Okay.
Our first stat is the average. Would you like to take a guess at what the average age of a first-time home buyer is?
Oh my, 26 average age.
33.
33. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got time, Owen. You and I, we got time, buddy.
We do. But that was something I was very surprised. 33, and this is meanwhile I'm here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be 26 there, and I'm falling behind. And it's like, no, actually, you're fine.
I don't know about you, but I was thinking, am I like, how late am I? Am I 2 years, 3 years late? You know, should I have bought at 22, 23, 24?
I should have bought at 14.
Yeah. that old OSAP trick, you know.
Our second stat is about the typical home purchased in the United States. And this was interesting. It's going to be relative to Canada as well. Would you like to guess the average square footage of a home in the United States?
Oh.
Purchased, by the way.
Yeah. Let's see. Lots at 600 square feet. Probably lots at 15. Let's go with an 1150.
1150 is a fairly small house, I'm just going to tell you.
Well, I'm thinking apartments too. They like condos and all that.
All right. 1900 square feet.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, I was pretty off then.
1900 square feet. The average home had 3 bedrooms and 2 washrooms.
Okay. Wow.
And the average year purchased was from 1993.
The year purchased or the
Yeah,
year
the
built?
average. The average. Sorry, year built. My bad.
Okay. Yeah. 93 makes sense. Checks out.
It's almost 30 years old at that point.
Yeah, which is still pretty young housing wise.
Yeah.
In North America, it's pretty young, and if you go to Europe, then it's really young.
Just a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Our third stat. This one I thought was very, very intriguing, to say the least. What percentage of sellers offered incentives to attract buyers? Take note, this is probably a report from 2020.
Okay, what percentage offer incentives?
Yeah, to attract buyers.
Okay, so this was before the huge boom. So let's call it most people offer incentives. No, not most. A little bit less than most. 40%.
26%.
Oh, okay. Man, I'm a little off today on the stats, eh?
Here's one thing, though. It says 26%, but you also need to realize that it was in 2020, the report. So the boom basically started the second half of 2020. And I'm not going to say boom, but there was still some people offering incentives. And then 2021, we just know is an absolute write-off.
Not a boom, but maybe a whoosh.
Yeah. In comparison, the year before that, it was 46% of sellers had incentives.
Oh, okay. So I was close.
Yes.
I was just accounting for the first half of 2020. That's why.
So it's quite wild, to say the least, here. And I bet you 2021 was probably even less than 26%.
Yeah, I bet you, because it was just bidding war central.
Oh, you didn't have to add incentives. You owning a home was the incentive.
Yeah, and even the first half, first quarter, first third of 2022 as well.
Yeah,
you know, the incentive is, hey, look, it's on the market, so go ahead and participate, man.
Our last stat, though, this one's going to be a fun one because I'm sure 2022 has changed those numbers significantly. Mm-hmm. And it's a question of regards, how long do the average people look for a home?
Oh,
how many weeks?
2 months, 8 weeks.
Bing,
10
bing,
weeks.
No!
Oh, no, I got it.
You got it. It's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks.
Right on.
And did you want to take a wild guess at how many homes they look at on average?
Oh, in 8 weeks, people look at it maybe one a weekend. Nope, a little less. 6 homes.
You should have stuck with one a weekend.
Really?
It's eight homes.
Oh, so close.
And so yes, in this case scenario, it's just 8 homes on average, 8 weeks. And especially in 2021, 2022, I'm sure that went a lot higher with people checking out a lot more homes and spending a lot longer of a time looking for homes.
Or in some cases even less, because no open houses, no this,
True.
no that, no inspections.
I was literally talking to a real estate agent this weekend. My girlfriend and I went to go see an open house on Sunday.
Nice.
And it was exactly that. And she said we only were able to have an open house April of this year, of 2022.
Now, I guess COVID restrictions got in the way of that too, right? At the
Very
time.
much so. Very much so. So that was a big deterrent to, well, just to policies and everything like that. You're having a lot of people, especially in a hot market. How many people do you think are around in a house or whatever like that? You'll have, especially think about Toronto or Vancouver with an open house.
Yeah.
And the way that a lot of markets have been working, doing it under asking price, you'll have dozens, 50, 100. I've seen 200 plus people go and see a home.
Yeah, and while
insane.
the traffic, especially nowadays, because virtual viewings weren't really much of a thing, you know.
No.
You'd have maybe rich customers that it's like, I don't have time to go, so let's do it like this. But nowadays, it's normal, and people sort of
Yep.
do it as a normal part of their marketing. So they get
Yep.
to see the entire place pretty much without ever having to step foot in it.
Very
So
good
nowadays, you're competing against so many more people because of volume. People who've seen the place is
Definitely.
so much higher.
I agree. And that was exactly why it was so difficult to purchase a home and why people were spending longer times trying to find a home.
Yeah, yeah.
So our first segment, we covered our stats here. We got to go and discuss our first segment, and that's to consider your plans and your cash flow.
Sure.
You got to
sure.
when you're going to go and purchase a home, especially with the markets that we had in 2021 and part of 2022, or the 2020s, if I should just say the 2020s, you already had to have all your ducks in a row. You had to have everything laid out even before you started.
Pre-qualified.
Pre-qualify, like
your proof of income, and
you weren't even looked at if you didn't have the numbers. Like you were, so that was a big part of having everything set up. The same works for this here, but just understanding how much you'll be paying.
yeah,
The average interest rate right now that Canada just announced a 75 basis points increase to 3.25%.
I think I saw an example online now. Someone who might hit their trigger rate, where they're just. Sorry, I'm sure you'll get into it.
yes. So you're looking at this type of stuff, and I'll speak about that last point about the trigger rate right at the end here.
Yeah,
but mortgage rates right now are over 5%.
That's crazy.
Like are expected to be over 5%, and if you have PMI you're more than likely going to be even higher.
Yeah, because 5%. What's the average home? 800,000, let's just say, in Canada.
Well, that was the peak. Right now, I think it's around 600,000, around 650,000.
Okay, let's call it 600,000.
Yep.
5% of that per year is $30,000 just in interest.
Yep.
Can you afford $30,000 just in interest? You know, that's something you should consider with your cash flow.
That's a good breakdown. I like it. And that's exactly what I was going to say is like when you're planning things out, do not go over what you want to pay.
Right.
A lot of real estate agents is like, okay, well, I'm looking at paying 400,000. Oh, well, we got you. We found this place for 410,000.
Yeah.
Oh, we found you a place for 420,000. We know that you're approved for 440,000, 450,000, but that $10,000 with this type of interest can literally hold you back several years.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's another great point is we've talked about this before. Don't max out to your maximum limit.
Yes.
Watch out for yourself first, not what the bank says you're allowed to do, you know.
And on top of that, doing renovations. You got to go and do renovations if you haven't. How are you supposed to do renovations if you max out your mortgage?
Right, exactly.
You're not going to be able to afford anything you're not going to be able to afford anything at all if you just decide to go and max your credit out.
Because some people like to finance their renovations, and some people through a mortgage. Yeah. And some people like to pay it out of pocket. So make sure you have one of those two available if you're going to do
one to two options. The third thing to consider when you're doing something like this is the what type of property you're planning on purchasing. Mm-hmm. Because your plan of attack is going to be different if you're purchasing a single dwelling home versus if you buy a duplex, an apartment building, a condo. So make sure that you have everything planned out with the type of property, because I think we've said it many times, you are eligible to get, more times than not, you're eligible to get more purchasing power if you decide to purchase an income producing property.
Yes, because I believe that income is considered as part of your total income, so it works into the calculation.
Exactly. So if you're able to go and get yourself an but get yourself a mortgage that has like X amount of dollars, let's say it's a $2,500 mortgage, but you're paying $2,000 of it is for rent.
Yeah.
Then it seems a lot more appealing at that point.
Right. Because then your cash flow going out is only $500, plus whatever expenses you have, monthly expenses.
Exactly.
Yeah, again, it's a question of fixed versus variable.
Huge. It could change your purchasing power entirely. Mm-hmm. So the last thing we have to say for this segment here is, well, actually the trigger rate. We were talking about trigger rates just beforehand.
Speaking of variable.
Yeah. And for this scenario, if you purchase yourself a $500,000 mortgage at 1.45%, mm-hmm. and this is off of CBC, which I think is really funny, but they were saying with a 30-year mortgage. I don't even think Canada does Canada have a 30-year mortgage?
I think you can annualize it on a 30-year period.
Oh,
but
okay.
Mortgage on a 30-year amortization.
Okay.
But typical is 25.
That's what I thought.
And mortgages don't go past, I think, big maximum is 10 years or something like
yes. that. Mm-hmm. So in this case scenario, for a 30-year for a 30-year amortization, they say it's $1,700. It's a little bit over $1,700.
For what? At the average?
For a $500,000 mortgage.
Okay, yeah.
Which is not ridiculous, but at a 1.45% interest rate.
Oh, that's what they put in?
But here's the thing. And that's around, and of that $1,700, about $500 of that $1,700 is interest.
Yeah, that's with that low interest rate.
And they were talking about trigger rates. If we go off of what we have today, the 4 points, I think what do we have here? 4.2% rate after the latest hike. Mm-hmm. You are actually reaching over the interest rate itself, or over the payment itself. Next to nothing is going towards. Next to nothing is going towards. Maybe to break that
down a little bit. Depending on your interest rate, a portion of your payment will go to paying back the actual debt.
Yeah, the principal.
A portion is actually going to go to the interest rate. Exactly. The difference between paying principal and paying the interest. Interest rates are getting high enough where people are saying, actually, out of this payment, it's not enough to cover anything on the principal.
Yeah.
And it's just only covering interest, which means you're not getting yourself any richer, just paying the bank, which is why the bank has to say, okay, look, you need to start paying this off, so we need to start talking about new terms, new payment rates,
And that's what they call the trigger rate.
Exactly.
But the one thing I need to identify with something like that is it doesn't fluctuate like that. So if you locked yourself in with a rate of 1.45, you're going to be good more than likely for up to 5 years.
Yes, it's because you can get a fixed rate or a variable rate.
Correct. Fixed rates are typically higher than variable rates. Mm-hmm. But if you have a variable rate, then I would be somewhat concerned.
Yeah, and to those who do have variable rates, now are scary times. And every time there's an announcement,
very much so.
What are the implications?
Yeah.
And best practice is get ahead of it. Call your bank immediately, saying
very smart.
Saying, okay, what are the implications to this? What can we do?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to change anything? Sometimes it's no, we'll just keep doing it.
Our next segment, though, is about paying attention to details. So we were talking about mortgage rates and everything like that. You got to do your research here. It's so important to do your research in these cases, because you need to understand that there's going to be a lot more at stake when there's more money that you can't access. I sound a little odd, but if a lot of it is going towards interest versus if it's going towards your principal. You're
Oh,
not
I
making,
see.
it's almost equivalent to paying rent at that point.
Yes, yes, exactly. The huge advantage of home ownership or ownership in general is that you slowly increase your net worth.
Yes,
But
exactly.
and you're right. If you do keep paying that down, then you can access that by refinancing your whatever your property is.
Yes, exactly. And not only if you own a property, but if you're trying to purchase a property, you also got to look at the details behind it. So, a lot of people were selling their properties in the last 2 years to make some good money, some good return. Whereas the people who were short on cash beforehand, who were just to say breaking even, well, they're making good money at that point. Well, now the gravy train is ending. So people are starting to unload on those bad properties, and you have to be careful of that because some of these properties have issues. Some of them the owner couldn't afford. Why couldn't they afford it? I always hate this word, and I don't know how to say it, but liens,
Liens.
liens.
Yeah.
Yes. So you got to watch for liens. I every time I see it, I say it wrong. But liens, yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you have pay attention to liens and also what's owing, because sometimes they have to pay a contractor that hasn't been paid. Sometime, and it's against the house.
Yeah.
And guess what happens when you end up purchasing the home? Someone's
take over.
sticking their hand out.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and you're right. And a lot of times, a good measure against that is to get title insurance or
Yes.
have your lawyer look up. That's why it's important to go through lawyers when closing in a property.
Yes,
because
exactly.
they get to look up the legal title and any liens that are against it. Because you yourself, odds are, I don't think you can do it. There are some places that you can look, but I don't think you'll get the full detail. Best to have a professional get your back there.
Oh yeah, get yourself a professional in this case, sir.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess around when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars unless you are the professional.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The next point to this one here is the risk
To
to
the
yield.
details?
Yes, to the details. The risk to yield of the property. If you're
Okay.
planning on making a profit off of this property, look at the risk involved with it. Is there a lot to fix on it? Is there what is the price of it? What location is it?
How long has
it
it been since the roof was done, right?
Yes. You know what? Like I was literally looking at a property. I think I told you this. I had a property I was looking at, and you know what? The property itself was pretty decent, and the price wasn't too bad for my area.
Yeah.
But it reeked of smoke, like horrid. I remember going into one room and I was almost gagging because of how bad the smell of smoke was.
Well, smoke damage is
Huge.
very expensive. It's not just a coat of paint is going to
No,
fix it.
no.
You got to clean it with special.
Sometimes you got to get rid of the
resources.
drywall flat out.
Oh wow! Okay, that's pretty intense.
It is intense, but if it's embedded in the walls and stuff like that,
If you don't have a
you're
choice,
never
you don't have a
gonna
choice.
you're not gonna get rid of the smell of smoke 100%. It'll always have, you're always gonna have that little lingering smell.
Yeah,
But-
and yeah.
But at the same time, this property I was looking at, I asked when the shingles were last done, and they said 2003. 2003 doesn't seem too bad, but then you look at it, and it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, the shingles are due time now, and it had different peaks and everything, so it's not going to be a straight job.
That
That's
cool
another-
tip again is if you are doing it, rent a drone, buy a drone, and fly over the roof so you can check it out
Yeah.
yourself. You know.
Mm-hmm. The third thing, actually, that when it comes to paying attention to detail, is actually to consider flipping homes.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to rent out to make money. You can make money flipping homes.
It's
And because there's less competition, typically on a market downturn, there's a little bit less competition. The opportunity to purchase is going to be a lot greater. And depending on how the market is, if it's a buyer's market or a seller, or buyer's market or a balanced market, you can actually get yourself a bigger deal and make bigger profits because of it.
Yeah. exactly. For that, you do need to know a little bit of the estimated cost of
Yes.
That's a
Yep.
big detail. What exactly are you doing? What's a good return for each room? Like if you're going to spend $100,000 on the entrance, okay, are you going to get any money back for that? The odds are no. But things like what is it? Is it the kitchen? The kitchen has good returns.
The washroom.
And the washroom, and I don't know, maybe the backyard.
Well, you're literally saying that, and literally the real estate agent I was talking to, she owns a lot of properties, and she was saying 3 things that you got to look at when you're looking at a property. Mm-hmm. She literally told us maybe you shouldn't buy this property to my girlfriend and I as well. But she says 3 things you got to look at when buying a property. First thing is a kitchen. Is it a good kitchen? If not, can you renovate it into a nice kitchen? We could. But she says second thing, the washroom. How well is a washroom? Like, is there a nice washroom? She says there's no washroom upstairs. There's only a main washroom, and she says it's an okay condition, and it's an unfinished basement with next to no washroom. And she says third thing, she says backyard. People like a backyard, especially for a family home to flip. If there's no backyard, she says you're not going to be people aren't going to be interested. And this home didn't have much of a backyard,
and it
was non-existent.
Those are all the things that make a place a home.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's huge. So I had to agree, and so she said maybe this isn't the place for both of you, and I respected her for it. I was happy she was honest, and I never heard that before, and I'm like, wow, thank you.
The best type of salespeople are the people who are genuine consultants to put you in a better position. Mm-hmm. Those are the best kinds, and you can trust them, and when you have trust, you can move forward much more efficiently. So.
Talking about trust, it brings us to our last point of the second segment, and that is to follow your bank's guidelines.
Oh, yes.
Read the fine print or anything like that, because I'm not trying to say banks will try and pull a fast one on you. That's not what I'm trying to get to. But when it comes to market downturns, turns, and interest rates are very high, banks and financial institutions get very, very, very stingy when it comes to handing out money.
Yeah.
They're not going to do like what they did in 2020, 2021 and just hand mortgages out like it was free candy.
Yeah, yeah.
They're going to get picky.
Yeah, and they have to.
They have to, yeah. It's risky.
Yeah.
Why would you go and give a $500,000 mortgage to someone making $40,000 a year?
Exactly. Actually, I don't know if you caught this, but the woman who had predicted in 2005 about the housing crash, made some similar predictions recently about the coming market and its potential crash. Okay. So something to be wary of, if
for sure.
If you believe she was able to track the right metrics, so. That's
her call. Who knows if she'll be right twice?
Yeah. Who knows? If so, I'm betting all in on her for the third time.
yeah. Our third segment is going to be the good and bad times to buy here. I think this one's going to be interesting here. I got two good and 2 bad points.
Okay.
We're going to start with the bad ones. The first thing is the first bad time to buy is when there's too many people fighting for a single property.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It is not worth it. I'm still seeing now, there's still properties right now that are being sold or being listed at $200,000 here when the average home is worth $450,000 and it's fully renovated with hardwood floors. I'm like, no, they're not doing that because it's worth $200K. They're trying to get absolutely anyone to go and look at their property and get a bidding war.
And I don't know if you've ever participated in a bidding war, but what your agent will do, the person who represents you, will say, hey, you got to drive it up. They're an advocate for the seller, essentially, to keep driving up that bidding war.
Yeah.
So
to an indirect way, yes, I agree. In an indirect way, I agree with that. So don't fall for that. And the second bad time to buy is when you feel forced to purchase a home. Don't always look at don't always look at the percentages. Don't look at the return or anything like that. But if you feel forced to purchase this, or people are pushing you to purchase it, that's a major red flag.
Yeah.
And I literally, my girlfriend and I saw maybe 2 or 3 homes online. I don't know why they take photos of this, but they literally have they have the washrooms, and then they have the sinks and the kitchen and stuff like that. And it has a boil water advisory on, like, sticker warning on the sink. But the property is worth they're like, oh, the property is $150,000, and it's like, okay, why? And then you look at all the warnings, and it's like, oof. And then at the end it says buyer admits full responsibility, or takes on full responsibility as is. It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I had a real estate agent pressure me and say,
really?
So into my offer, I'm like, I want condition. This was when no conditions were going on.
Yep.
I said, here's my offer. I'm going over asking. I want inspection, and I want this. They say, you're not going to get it like that. You can't have those. I said, I appreciate your advice, but I want for this much money.
I'm not stepping down from that.
Yeah, and you have the ultimate say, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you just got to have that reflection, and make sure that you aren't getting pushed into anything.
I don't think your real estate agent was being mean, or just putting insights, using their insights about it.
Yeah, sure. You can tell me once, but after I insist, you don't
what
push
I'm trying
to what I'm trying to put across is that it doesn't matter if someone's pushing you towards one direction. You have full control. You have the final say.
Yep. Now we have to talk about the good things, because we spoke about the bad things. There's some bad times to purchase some properties. There's some good times to buy some properties as well, even during a recession.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that has to be the most obvious one, if it feels like you feel comfortable doing this, it just feels like home. The biggest, huge. You can see yourself in this area. You can see yourself living here. You can see yourself, no matter what. It's obvious, but if it feels like home, then do it.
And on an investment side, there's a good chance that if it feels like home for you, that whenever you decide to sell it next, that the next person will find it homey as well.
Yes. The only thing is don't get too emotional on it, though.
Yes.
Because that's where you can get played like a fiddle.
No doubt.
Our second good point, though, for the goods is, and this one's an obvious one, but a good one too, is now that markets are going down, rates are going up, it becomes more of a balance / buyer's market. It's definitely far from being a buyer's market right now, but we are slowly inching towards a balanced market. And that means that we have an equal demand, like an equal amount of buyers as there are sellers.
And that means negotiating power is finally starting to come to a balance as well.
Yes, for sure. And people also need to realize that just because rates are high right now, they're going to go down. They're going to go down at one point.
True.
But we were
and that includes your variable rate too.
yes. Just because you were at 0%, like next to nothing, it's almost asinine to think that it was not going to go up.
Right.
So now,
although everyone is always loves being stuck where they are, and they're like, no, I'm nice and comfortable.
But for these instances, because it's so high, you'll know that rates will go down over time, and there's going to be more money that's going to be put towards your principal, maybe next year, more likely not, but in 2024, maybe 2025, 26, and then you'll be able to remortgage at a better rate. Yeah.
And if you expect rates to go down, what this means for you is if you can afford it now, you'll definitely be able to afford it when the rates go down, So
yes.
If you're able to afford it at its worst, then it's a good place. And as we always say, again, there's no rush into buying, but it's true what they say that time in the market is better than timing the market.
True.
Which
Very
brings
true.
me to the quote of the day.
Okay.
This here is from a former president who was an actor, Ronald Reagan.
Oh, very nice.
And he says, "Life is one grand, sweet song, so start the music." And this doesn't mean purchase today, but it could mean start looking today. You know, there are deals that are out there, and you might not find it in 1 week, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, but you will find that one deal that is just right financially and emotionally too, because that's important as well.
My girlfriend and I go to open houses just to go and talk to real estate agents and get to know the market. We've gone to 5 different open houses now. And we spoke to 5 different real estate agents, and we got to see 5 different views. It's cool to see. It is exciting, and we get to see what our budget can afford.
And that's great networking too. And the more you network, the more you get to know these people, the more you could ask them a quick question, and all of a sudden they're in your friend group, and they get to help you in making good decisions, you know. And you just got to keep getting involved more and more.
So now that we have that segment done, we got to go and talk about our final segment, and that is just tips. We're gonna plow through these tips here.
Yeah, quick tips.
Yeah. So the first one is, if you want to go and get yourself a deal, look for motivated sellers. Look at property, especially not so much right now, because we are still in a hot market. We're cooling off, but we're not straight into a cold market right now. I would say, especially like in the winter, no pun intended about cool market, but in the winter, like January to the first quarter of next year, I think we're going to have a lot cooler of a market. Less properties available, but less people interested. The interest rates are still going to be around the same. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking for motivated sellers, look for properties that are that have been on for a long time, that have been on the market for quite some time. I remember literally seeing a property for 2 weeks and then asking the seller what's wrong with the property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because, like 2 weeks, because that's how quick houses were selling.
True.
But now I'm starting to see property like 2 weeks is normal now, 3 weeks. Now you're starting to see a month. Now I start questioning if the house has been on the market for over a month.
Sure. Yeah, that seems more reasonable.
Yeah. But
another nice tip is if you see a listing that's poorly written, bad photos, things like that,
go for it.
You know that the demand is going to be down for it, which means your negotiating power is up.
Yep. And also look for empty homes. Empty homes. Usually the sign of an empty home means that the people have moved out. So they're more in a time crunch to try and sell the home.
Extra motivated. Yeah.
And honestly speaking, the home that we just went to, as rough as it actually surprised me, but it was an estate sale.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a time crunch with them. They just want to get rid of the home. Mm-hmm. But I digress with that. But our second tip to say is pay attention to sort of short sellers or foreclosures, especially in a downturning market. People aren't as hawkish with the market. They're not paying attention to every single listing that's going up. So there may be something that may slip through the cracks. I don't remember if you remember the green door buildings in my town. I think I remember telling you that rundown houses were going for over $500,000.
Whoa!
Oh yeah. Whoa. So the city was playing with the bidding wars. They were, because green door were city green door. They weren't literal green doors, but they were owned by the city. Oh. And so they'd have the starting price at something like $100,000, and people were doing bidding wars, and they were selling these rundown houses that needed a lot of maintenance for over $500,000.
Oh my goodness, that's brutal.
Yep. So pay attention. That's all I'm saying. You never know what's going to show up.
You're right.
Our third point to say in regards to this is, and I mean, it's just a tip. Don't be afraid to be picky. We've said it beforehand, but also be reasonable. Have your conditions or something like that. Don't stand your ground. You have the opportunity to do that, but don't be cocky. I've said it many times beforehand. I hate a cocky market.
True.
It doesn't matter if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No. Never be. It's similar. Don't be pushed into something you don't like.
Yes.
Manage your expectations. Be realistic for what you can afford.
Yeah.
But you don't let some big shot bully you into buying something, or don't let the market bully you into saying, okay, I got to settle now or I'll never have a place.
For sure. And actually, it's the perfect way to finish this last segment, and it's to avoid bidding whenever possible.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Just avoid it. Just avoid it. It's becoming more like, unless you're living in metropolitan areas where it's the norm, areas like where you and I live, it's less common to have that kind of stuff. And I've been speaking to real estate agents, and they've said that it's becoming like they're few and far between now. It still exists, but it's less common.
Yeah.
And because now they're risking of saying, okay, well, bidding closes on this date, and there's next to no bids.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's scary for whoever's selling too.
There's next to no bids, so now you're stuck with, I mean, you could always reject it, but you're just validating that you're not getting what you want, and you just wasted everyone's time.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right.
So with that being said, my name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast. Peace.
Two figures peace.
This has been your daily dose of motivation with the College of Wealth podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening, and until next episode.